Start with injuries. We won't have Tay out there, Larry Ogunjobi, or Sheldon Richardson. They won't be practicing. Talking about these Colts, really good football team. I know our guys are looking forward to the challenge. 2 3-1 teams really should be a great game. And I think when you watch a tape on these guys, you see a very well-coached team. No surprise with Coach Reich. They do a great job on offense. Can hurt you in multiple ways. On defense, it's a very, very sound scheme. They're attacking. I think you guys have seen the tape and see the stats. They're outstanding. And then same on special teams. They do a really nice job. So quite the challenge for us. So we got to have a great week of preparation. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Coach. The first one is going to go to Tom Withers. Tom, your line should be open now.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Coach. Coach, obviously losing a player of Nick's quality would be devastating to some teams, but you guys have the perfect next man up, if you will, in Kareem. How confident are you that he's going to be able to just be as productive as he's been and your guys will not have a fall off?
I mean, I'm confident in our entire running back room, Tom. I fully understand the caliber player that Nick is, and you know, we'd love to have Nick out there, but in the meantime, he's going to be hanging out with Joe Sheehan and the training staff and getting ready to get back out there. So in the meantime, I really think we have guys that understand the scheme, guys that can contribute in the run and the pass. I'm really excited for those guys. I think they're well coached. I think Stump's excited for the challenge of these guys. So we'll have to make do until Nick gets back there.
Does it necessitate any kind of a talk with them about, hey, look, just be yourselves, trust the system, do what we've done, and we're going to be fine, or just let them do their thing?
I think they understand what's at stake. I think they understand that injuries are unfortunately part of this game, and you already said it. It's the next man up mentality. I think the guys are very keenly aware of that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Darryl Ryder. Darryl, your line is open.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned in your opening remarks that, how outstanding the Colts defense is. Obviously, the statistics, the rankings bear that out. But just when you watch them, what opens your eyes most? What concerns you most when you look at that side of the ball?
Team speed, effort. DeForest Buckner was a great addition for them playing their 3 technique, gets up the field. He's long, active. The linebacker core can really run. Like I said, they're sound. They don't beat themselves. They're where they're supposed to be. So really impressive on tape.
How do you balance the you guys doing what you do offensively, but also adjusting a little bit to match up with what they do or to prevent what they do well?
Yeah, I think, Darryl, that's your game plan every week. It's what you feel like you're good at and what you feel like they are susceptible to, and you right in the middle, you find your game plan.
Jake Trotter, we'll go to you.
Yeah, Kevin, points have been way up across the board this season. Anything you attribute the scoring uptick to? I know it's kind of a small sample size, but it's been noticeable for sure.
Hard to say, Jake. I mean, I've read the articles about penalties being down. That could contribute to it, but I really don't know.
Next one will go to Fred Greetham.
Hey, Coach, with your 2 starting defensive tackles, you look a little thin there. I mean, you have to make a move in that area? And a second question, Kevin Johnston, I don't believe he played on defense the other day. Is there anything going on with him?
So with the defensive line, we'll monitor that throughout the week as we always do, see how those guys are starting really tomorrow, but won't have them out there today, and we'll just kind of take it day by day. And then, Kevin just coming off of the injury, we're going to need him and expect him to play and just kind of how the game flow goes.
Tony Grossi, you're up.
Hey, Kevin, all right. Offensively, we see your offense evolving week to week. Naturally, I'm sure you got more up your sleeve as we go along. In particular to the running game, does the injury to Chubb force you to pause your evolution or accelerate it?
Definitely doesn't force you to pause, Tony. I think if if we're worth our salt, we're constantly evolving. So we know who's available to us each week and play to your players' strengths.
Scott Petrick, you're up.
Hey, Kevin. Your run defense hasn't gotten a whole lot of pub, but I think it's doing pretty well. What have you liked about it? And then what kind of a challenge do the Colts with their kind of stable the backs present?
Yeah, it's a good question because the Colts do a really nice job varying their run schemes. I think the rookie is a load. They really present some challenges, and then that offensive line is very impressive. And you guys know, across the board, and Quentin Nelson, I mean, you've seen all the highlights. I mean, that's a power team that can also run zone, can get on the perimeter. So I think you really have to be pure in your run fits. It's a big part of that this week because of the varying schemes that they present. And I think if we've had success this year, it's because we've been pretty good on our run fits and swarm tackling.
And kind of following up on Fred's question about the D tackles, what has Jordan Elliott shown you? I know he's played played some already and might need to play even more.
Yeah, he's done a nice job. Going to need him to continue to progress. His role will expand, but he's very, very diligent about this. He wants to be great, works really hard out at practice. So he's just needs to keep progressing.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Jeff Shadell, your line is open.
Hey, Kevin, I have two questions. One, what does David Njoku give you that maybe the other tight ends don't have? And the second one is when you're putting together a game plan, you use Nick Chubb so much. How about adjusting that game plan, those meetings without that attribute?
Well, to the second part first, I think run game wise, our backs can really handle multiple schemes. So we don't put in a run specifically for one of the runners, if that makes sense. So I don't think it has to vary a ton without Nick. And then David brings his own skill set to the group. I think all of them are a little bit different, but David with his size, with his ability to play in line and split out, we're excited to get him back out there.
Thanks, Jeff. Next up is Nate Orr.
Hey, Coach. Talking to Baker, he called you smooth operator as a play caller. I'm not sure if you want to start going by that nickname, but I wanted to ask you about just offensively when you're looking at how you're going to attack a defense. How much of a concerted effort are you putting into setting things up for later in the game? Because Odell and Baker and some of the other guys have talked about, hey, on this big play, we set it up 2 quarters earlier.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And, we work really hard on Monday and Tuesday putting the game plan together. And then you have to have a lot of conversations throughout the week of what we're going to show first and what's coming second. So luckily, Alex Van Pelt, the rest of the offensive staff have a great feel for that.
Thanks, Nate. We'll go to Mary Kay Cabot.
Also, in speaking to Baker, he talked about how things have changed considerably from a sort of a schematic and play calling standpoint from the first game. So my question is, did you find that after you saw your team for the very first time out on the football field together in a live game, did you have to do some self-correcting in the way that you saw that you needed to call things for different guys, and also were you really super open to input from the players and making those changes and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I hope to be evolving each week, Mary Kay, and from week 1 to week 2, we learn a lot about ourselves, and I hope I'm changing and getting better each week. And then part of this is throughout, early part of the season still understanding what our guys, and I think I'm getting a better grasp of what our guys are really good at. And then we got to double down on those things. We got to protect those things. But the good news is we got a bunch of guys that are really working hard and want to contribute to this thing.
Thanks, Mary Kay. George Thomas, you have our next question.
Phillips is in the league for, it seems like an eternity at this point. Switches teams during the offseason. What do you see in him now? Is there any big difference from when he was with the Chargers, do you think?
I missed the first part of the question. Is it about Philip Rivers?
Yeah, it's about Philip Rivers. Is there a big change in from when he was with the Chargers that you can see?
No, I wouldn't say there's a big change. I think he's with some coaches that really understand him, that were with him out there. The schemes are similar, but he's surrounded by some really good players. He's a great player in his own right. He has guys on the perimeter that he can get the ball to. He has a run game. He has multiple tight ends. So I have the utmost respect for Philip Rivers.
Thank you.
Jake Trotter, we'll go back to you.
Yeah, Kevin, the Colts have a top 5 run defense. What kind of litmus test could this be for your running game, especially now that you don't have Nick?
I think it's a challenge, Jake. I think that's the fun part in this business. And I think our guys are working really hard here on Wednesday to make sure they understand the plan and then get out there on the field and start to get the mechanics of how we're attacking them this week. But we totally understand what's at stake. We totally understand the team that we're getting ready to face here on Sunday, because you just turn on the tape and it's so obvious why they're good, because they fly around, they're physical, and I think our guys will be ready for the challenge.
Nate Ulrich, you're up.
Kevin, obviously, turnover differential's been such a big part of your guys' 3-1 start. The Colts are really good at it too, and they have the league high 7 interceptions. So what about them defensively makes them opportunistic that way? And just, are you kind of, I know you're always emphasizing no interceptions with Baker, but are you encouraged by his progress in that area and think that, obviously he can keep it going against a team that's really been good at taking it away that way?
Yeah, I think every week we're going to go into it saying, don't turn the ball over. And it's important. And I think everybody knows the difference between winning and losing is razor thin. But if you want to give yourself a chance, you got to protect the ball and you got to go get it on defense. So this team's done a great job. Like you mentioned, 7 interceptions. They play zone, so they got eyes on the cue. They play some man, that they're tight in coverage where they're making plays on the ball. So for every quarterback, for Baker, for this week and for every week, he's got to just make sure that he goes through his reads and stays pure to them and make sure that we do everything in our power to not give the ball away.
Mary Kay Cabot, we'll go to you.
Coach, with everything going on in the league in terms of guys testing positive for COVID and there's uncertainty right now, are you kind of ready to pivot? Are you guys hearing anything about bubbles or anything that could possibly happen as you move forward here?
I'm not hearing anything to that end, Mary Kay, but we got to always be ready to adjust to what's going on. And we're trying to learn from what's going on and see if there's something that we can do better.
Have you found anything yet?
Yeah, there's little things that you hear coming out of some of these teams that maybe help us. I mean, we're following, we're following the protocols to a T. If there's things that we can do above and beyond, we're ready to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Tony Grossi.
Thank you. A question about turnovers and scoring after turnovers. Do you have an actual different play sheet for possessions after turnovers, or do you just press the pedal to the metal in your own mind to be aggressive?
No, we're just trying to be aggressive, Tony. And you're right. We've scored touchdowns with those turnovers, and that's a huge deal. And I think our players have fed off of that. I know the offense feeds off it when the ball gets turned over. They're excited to get back on the field, but we're just sticking with our offense in those situations.